you know, something needs doing about it.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's horrendous for me to look at that.
Say that. How is he not disqualified off that? It's outrageous.
The drama surrounding UFC 321 just took another shocking turn, and this time, Daniel Cormier is not holding back. After the chaos of the Tom Aspinall vs. Ciryl Gane eye poke controversy, a private conversation between Cormier and Aspinall was leaked online, sending the MMA world into a frenzy. According to reports, the leak may have come from Tom's own father, and now DC is furious. Fans are now questioning whether Aspinall's camp crossed a line. Did Tom's father accidentally post something he shouldn't have, or was it intentional? Either way, this leak has sparked a storm of speculation, and DC isn't taking it lightly. Subscribe to MMA Desk for all the latest updates, reactions, and let's dive right in the video. The main event at UFC 321 was supposed to be a huge showdown between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. Fans were excited, the arena was loud, and both fighters looked ready. For most of the first round, it felt like the fight was building towards something special. Then everything went wrong in a second. Gane's outstretched fingers went right into Aspinall's eye near the end of the round. The referee stepped in, doctors were called, and the crowd grew restless because they didn't understand how serious it was.
A lot of people are upset with Tom Aspinall for calling off the fight. I'm here to tell you why he was correct. If you didn't see it, the UFC heavyweight showdown in Abu Dhabi didn't end in a knockout or a submission, but rather in a double eye poke, resulting in a no contest in round 1 between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. Now, Aspinall did go to the side and he was allotted his full 5 minutes of recovery and saw the
Eye pokes are illegal in MMA because they can cause real, lasting damage. In this case, the doctor checked Tom, and Tom said he could not see clearly out of his right eye. The round ended, chaos followed, and after some confusion, the fight was ruled a no contest. That means there was no winner and no loser, just a sudden stop to a match that people had waited months to see. It felt like someone hit pause right when the movie was getting good. Everyone had questions. Was it an accident? Did Gane already get warned? Could Tom continue? The truth is, once a fighter says he can't see, the doctor has to protect him. That's the rule, and it's there to keep fighters safe. But in a moment that big, with emotions so high, the crowd wanted more and they didn't get it. Right after the fight ended, Tom Aspinall let his feelings out. He was not calm, and honestly, who would be? He shouted that Gane had been warned to keep his fingers closed and that this was not just a tiny mistake.
As soon as possible. It's unfortunate that it ended the way that it did, and yes, I think that there probably will be a lot more interest in the rematch after they saw, he had Tom bloodied up.
He called Gane names and said it was a dirty move. You could hear the anger and the pain in his voice. He had trained for over a year for this moment. He had dreamed of proving he was the best heavyweight in the world. Instead, it stopped on an eye poke. In the middle of all the noise and confusion, Tom kept saying the same thing. This should not happen. He wasn't accusing Gane of planning it, but he was saying it kept happening. First a graze to the eye during a takedown, then a deeper poke later. To Tom, it felt careless and dangerous. He talked about how fighters have lost part of their vision from similar fouls. He said if referees don't control the hand finger problem and fighters don't change, someone could get hurt for life. His words were heavy, but they showed a scared and angry man who believed he was robbed of a fair fight. When fighters speak like that, it's because the moment matters to them more than we can imagine. The injury Tom described was not small. He said one poke went knuckle deep, which sounds awful and probably felt worse.
The fight was called off, no contest.
Because today he knows that was his day. Today he knew that he will out wrestling this guy. He knew that.
Imagine a finger scraping across the soft parts of your eye during the hardest fight of your life. Your eye waters, your vision blurs, and every light hurts. You can't judge distance. In fighting, not seeing well isn't just a problem, it's a danger. A punch you don't see is the one that knocks you out or worse. Tom also mentioned stories of other fighters, like Michael Bisping, who lost vision in one eye after years of damage. When you hear that, you understand why Tom didn't want to be tough and push on. The doctor's job is to ask clear questions. Can you see? Can you follow my finger? Does it hurt? If the answers show the fighter's vision is compromised, the fight stops. That isn't a sign of weakness. It's a safety rule that protects a career and a future. Tom has a family. He has parents, a partner, and children who need him. Protecting his eyesight is bigger than one round, even in a title fight. That's why he said continuing would have been irresponsible. The pain was sharp and the risk was too high. It's easy to say fight on from the couch. It's different when you're the one in the cage, blinking through tears and seeing double.
Be hating right now, but because it's happened to me, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He got maybe even some humbling, bro. God papped him up a little bit.
Whoa, listen. Let's not just act like Tom was getting his ass whooped out there. They both touched each other. It's just that Ciryl Gane looked a little more effortless. The rematch is on fire.
But even with all that, a part of the crowd turned on Tom. Some people booed when the fight ended. Online, some fans called him soft. They said he was looking for a way out because the first round wasn't going his way. That sort of talk spreads fast on social media, where hot takes beat slow facts. Still, it hurts the person at the center of it. Tom had been a destroyer at heavyweight, finishing fights quickly and rarely even losing a round. Seeing him bleeding from the nose and getting touched by the jab was new to many people. Some took that and built a story that wasn't fair. They said the pressure got to him, and the eye poke was an excuse. But those people didn't feel what Tom felt. They didn't sit in the doctor's room after, holding an ice pack to a swollen eye, wondering if their vision would return to normal by morning. In sports, especially combat sports, fans sometimes forget fighters are human. They see them as characters in a show. But this is real. Eyes don't heal because the crowd is angry. When the arena emptied out and the boos faded, Tom was still there, trying to blink his way back to normal sight. The mockery stung almost as much as the poke.
You've got to do something about these eye pokes. The rule is you got to have your hands like this, but you can still have your fingers out straight. You can't do that, you can do that. That's the stupidest rule I've ever seen in my life.
Dana White's reaction added fuel to the fire. At the press conference, he said, Tom didn't want to continue. To many people, those words sounded cold. They sounded like he was putting the decision on Tom and not calling the poke what it was, an illegal foul. Promoters are supposed to sell fights and protect their fighters, at least in public. When a fighter gets hurt by something illegal, you expect the boss to say, we've got his back, we'll fix this. Instead, Dana's words made Tom feel like he was being judged for protecting his vision. It also made some fans think Tom had an easy choice and took it. The truth is, it is never easy to stop a fight on a foul, especially when the world is watching. Tom waited more than a year for this night. He didn't train through injuries and long camps just to wave it off for a bloody nose. His promoter's job is to control the message in moments like this. Even a simple promise, like we'll rebook it right away, would have changed the tone, but that didn't happen on the night. And when it didn't, the conversation spun out, and the blame landed on the person hurting the most.
And then people just start booing me like, my fault. Big double fault to me, mate. Just trained for 14 months. Trust me, didn't want someone's finger going off the deep in my eye.
Because of all this, the MMA community split into two loud groups. One side called Tom a quitter. They claimed he was surprised by Gane's speed and jab, and he wanted an exit. They pointed to the nosebleed and the way the round was going and used it to support their case. The other side pushed back hard. They said an eye poke is an illegal move, period. They reminded everyone that a fighter's eyesight isn't worth one more round of toughness. They said the rules exist for exactly this reason. In the days after, podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media were packed with arguments. People slowed down the replay, looked for angles where fingers were open, and counted warnings. They brought up past Gane fights and asked if this has happened before. They talked about padding the gloves or changing the glove design to prevent pokes. The more they argued, the easier it was to forget the simple truth. Nobody won that night. Both fighters lost something. Tom lost a chance to show his best. Gane lost a clean result after a strong start. Fans lost a great fight right when it was heating up. The split shows how passionate MMA fans are, but it also shows how quickly facts can get buried under feelings. In the middle of the noise, one voice stood out in defense of Tom, Ariel Helwani. He called the backlash against Tom ridiculous and reminded everyone that Tom literally could not see. Helwani said this wasn't about bravery, it was about safety. His message was clear and simple, the kind of thing even people who don't follow MMA could understand. If you're poked in the eye and your vision is messed up, you stop, that's all. He also pointed out that this wasn't just one poke, there was earlier contact near the eye on a takedown, and the final poke was deep. When someone like Helwani, who has covered the sport for years and knows the fighters well, speaks calmly and firmly, it helps reset the conversation. It doesn't silence all the critics, but it gives people who were unsure a new way to think about it. He asked listeners to picture being in Tom's place, with your career and eyesight on the line. Then ask yourself, would you keep going just to make strangers happy? The obvious answer is no. Helwani's defense didn't change the result, but it changed how many people understood it. Ciryl Gane's reaction was quiet and respectful. He said he was disappointed too. He talked about the hard work and sacrifices he made to get ready. He didn't brag about the first round. He didn't say Tom quit. He called it the sad side of the sport. Some people still blamed him, saying he kept his fingers open and should have known better. But Gane has a reputation for being humble and polite, win or lose. He stuck to that here. He didn't fight the crowd or argue with Tom's team. He didn't try to turn the story into something else. He accepted that the ending was bad for everyone and that people were upset. You could tell he wanted to run it back and prove he could win without any questions. That attitude matters. It shows that even in a bitter moment, fighters can show respect. Whether you believe the poke was an accident or not, Gane handled the moment like a professional. He didn't pour gasoline on the fire. He waited for the next chance to settle it in a clean way. Before the foul, the fight itself was interesting and more even than many expected. Gane's jab was sharp, quick, and accurate. He used it to control distance and keep Tom from getting comfortable. Tom, on the other hand, was starting to time Gane. He landed a solid right hand and attacked the legs with kicks. He even tried to change levels for a takedown once, which is part of his game. The nosebleed on Tom looked dramatic, but blood doesn't always mean someone is losing badly. Sometimes a single well-placed jab causes a bleed, and the fighter is fine. The round felt like it was shaping into a chess match. Could Tom trap Gane near the fence and unload? Could Gane keep the fight in open space and pick him apart? That's what made the ending so frustrating. We were just starting to see the story of the fight appear. Would Tom's power and speed catch up to Gane's slick movement? Would Gane's jab and footwork tax Tom over time? We left without answers. And because we didn't get those answers, people tried to invent them afterward. That's natural, but it's also why a rematch makes the most sense. The questions are still hanging there, waiting to be solved. Looking ahead, most signs point to a rematch. Even Dana admitted that rebooking is a pain, but it's the fair move. It helps both fighters. Tom gets the chance to fight with 2 working eyes and no cloud over the result. Gane gets a chance to prove the first round wasn't a fluke and that he can win clearly. The MMA world understands that sometimes you have to do it again to get the truth. When that rematch comes, the emotions will be even higher. Tom will enter the cage with anger and focus. He will want to erase the memory of that poke and the boos and the questions about his heart. Gane will want to show that his skills and strategy, not a foul, are what define him. The officials will also be ready. You can bet the referee will be vocal about closed fists and safe hand positions. The corners will remind their fighters constantly. No one will want to see a repeat. And fans will come back, because despite everything, this matchup is still what we wanted in the first place. 2 of the very best heavyweights in the world, testing each other. If the cage door closes again, and both men make it to the final horn, we'll finally get the answers the sport owes us. In the end, the story of Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane at UFC 321 became about much more than an eye poke. It showed how quickly a great fight can turn into chaos and how fast fans can switch from cheering to doubting. It also reminded everyone that fighters aren't superheroes, they're people who risk their bodies and health every time they step into the cage. Tom didn't lose because he quit, the fight stopped because he couldn't see, and safety must always come first. Ciryl Gane didn't walk away happy either. He wanted to prove himself in a fair contest, not in controversy. The UFC, the fans, and the fighters all learned something from that night. Respect matters, and so does fairness. When these 2 meet again, it won't just be a rematch, it'll be a chance for redemption, for both men and for the sport itself. Everyone will be watching, hoping for a clean, honest fight that answers every question left hanging in the air. Subscribe to MMA Desk for all the latest updates, fight breakdowns, and behind-the-scenes drama from the world of mixed martial arts. Don't miss the next chapter of this story.